Welcome in, everybody. Mark Farzy here, the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there in Philadelphia. Hope everyone had just a lovely, just a wonderful, just a beautiful day. Just a beautiful, gorgeous day. Jim, have I taken you out yet? There we go. So there's a thing that's going on here, a little delayed reaction. Nice to see you, everybody. I don't want to overplay it. Not even a little bit. I'm a little excited about the Phillies. And it hit me this morning when I was talking to PJ. I am going to a bar today at I'll probably go at 1:30. Make sure I have a good seat. And I'm going with my buddy Bennett, who I've referenced many times on the show. Like one of my best buds since I was 10 years old, right? Happens to live a block away from me in the city. And he hits me up and he goes, hey, man. Now, see, for sporting events, I'm never the guy to go, hey, let's get together for a sporting event and go out, because my priority is to sit at home and watch the game and, pay attention to the whole thing. It's never to go out and party. So he hits me up and he's just like, hey, man, you want to go to the bar down the street and watch the game? And I go, yep. Yeah, twist my arm, why don't you? And it hit me today, right before the show. I was talking to PJ, and I was like, wow, I'm going to be at a bar today watching the Phillies in the postseason. I haven't been able to say that for 11 years. And then, it led into what I was thinking about yesterday with the last time the Phillies played in the postseason 11 years ago. Roy Halladay pitched against Matt Carpenter, and it was the end. It was the end of the Phillies playoff runs. It was the end of that 5-year stretch of feeling like you were going to win the World Series. It's wild to think about it. Roy Halladay pitched a phenomenal game. The Phillies lost 1-0. Matt Carpenter held the Phillies to 3 hits, 2 by Shane Victorino, 1 by Chase Utley. And when you go back to that game, Halladay got not beat up by any means, but he got hit around in that first inning. He only allowed, I think, 2 hits in the first inning, but the first hit of the game was a triple by Rafael Furcal, who was brought home by Skip Shoemaker on an RBI double. And that was the only run of the ball game, and it happened 2 batters in. Oh, 2011, what a year. And that was the end. And I remember thinking, hold on, the Phillies just got all this great pitching. You mean to tell me when they get all this great pitching, they're not going to win the World Series? Are you serious? That's not how it works. You got the great pitching and win the World Series. Didn't happen like that. It's just the way it went down, unfortunately. It was heartbreaking. It sucked to watch that era just dwindle away, and watching guys like Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard and Carlos Ruiz, even to an extent, like watching those guys, just watching their skills deteriorate as they got older, and rightfully so, or maybe an injury was mismanaged, Ryan Howard, as things went on there. And it's just crazy to think about the fact that they're going to be back in the postseason today against that same St. Louis Cardinals team. And when I say same, I mean totally different, with the exception that Albert Pujols is still playing for the Cardinals. Well, he's back with the Cardinals. He hasn't been with them since then, obviously, with the Angels. But it's just crazy to think about it, to go back to that time period. And now Ben Francisco, if you remember, he was a member of that Phillies team. It's insane. There's names you can go back to. John Mayberry Jr., there's so many names you can go back to from that roster. They're just kind of literally peculiar. Ross Glode. Thinking about some of those names from back in the day. Ryan Madsen pitched in that game. He came on in relief of Roy Halladay. Phillies are back postseason today. Hopefully you'll be at a bar. Maybe you'll be at the game. But whatever you're doing, maybe you'll be a kid in school today, somehow magically listening or watching, if you got the world's coolest teacher, right before dismissal. Phillies game will be up on the TV somewhere, and you can watch the Phillies in the postseason. So all the kids that have been waiting for this moment, that have never seen the Phillies in the postseason or aren't even old enough to remember, like, think about that. Like, if you're a 14-year-old today, like, what are you calling back to, like, when you were 3 years old? I remember that game against Matt Carpenter. You know what really pissed me off? I don't get mad when they do the jersey exchanges at the end of football games, or when after a game, the team is yucking it up with the other team. Like, I don't get mad at that. You played with a lot of these guys in college or against them in college. You knew them from growing up or whatever it might be. These guys are your friends. You have a personal moment, and you go back to the locker room, and that's where you get pissed off again. But you know what? For whatever stupid reason, it pissed me off. Roy Halladay and Matt Carpenter, after that game, I want to say it was like maybe a week after the World Series that the Cardinals won, maybe a week after the World Series, Matt Carpenter and Roy Halladay posted a picture of them bass fishing together. And I was like, ah! Why? I was so unjustifiably pissed off when I saw that picture. I was like, that doesn't make me feel good. Don't like it. Love you, Roy Halladay, but I hate this picture. But anyway, so we hopefully exercise those demons today against the St. Louis Cardinals and start this off with a win against Jose Quintana, who will get the start for the Cardinals today. Quintana, here's what you got, ladies and gentlemen. You got Zach Wheeler going up. You know him, you love him. Hopefully he pitches a fine game today. Has dominated the Cardinals this year, which is nice to see. Jose Quintana in one start against the Phillies. He got no decision. He went 5 2/3, scoreless, allowing 4 hits in that ball game. He hasn't pitched in the playoffs since 2017. He's a 33-year-old lefty. He pitched for the Cubs the year after they won the World Series. He was a deadline acquisition, and he pitched in the 2017 playoff run for the Chicago Cubs that ended with the divisional round of the playoffs. And he actually took the loss in that last playoff game in 2017 for the Cubs. The last time, I believe it was, that he pitched against the last time he pitched in the playoffs, he allowed 6 earned runs in 2 innings. That's the stat I was trying to get you. So hey, hopefully just more of that. Just get shelled in the first 2 innings of the ball game, and we'll see how that goes after that. However, I will say, just to give you a couple of little backstory there on Jose Quintana. Over the last 6 starts, he's allowed 3 earned runs over his last 6 starts. He hasn't allowed 3 or more runs in a start since July 15th. So he's on a nice run. Let's just call it that. Phillies bats hopefully come alive against the lefty today. One thing I saw that was interesting was Bryce Harper actually out in the outfield today, or yesterday, as the Phillies were working out in St. Louis. So I guess they're just testing him out, maybe just giving him a little cardio. Some guys would shag flies for cardio. Maybe that's what they were doing. I don't know. But thought it was interesting that Bryce Harper was out there in the outfield, shagging flies. So I got the Phillies winning today. I got the Phillies winning this series. That's my prediction. We got Michael Barkann joining the show coming up in just a second to talk about all things Phillies and all things Eagles. He's a man for all seasons, that Michael Barkann, and he just celebrated 25 years at Comcast Sports, that NBC Sports Philadelphia. And a dear friend of mine, absolutely love the guy, and he comes on to talk about all things Eagles and Phillies. So I look forward to that conversation. And he tells a couple of stories that, I got to be honest with you, I'm surprised he told. But when you let Michael out of his cage, oh, man, things are bouncing off the walls. If you listen to the Jim Cramer interview last week, it's a lot of the same vibes. It's very energetic people. Love that guy. So Michael will join us coming up in just a second. So I got the Phillies winning today. My bold prediction for today is that Bryce Harper goes yard. Now, why is that bold? It shouldn't be bold. It's pretty bold. The power hasn't really returned much since he's returned from the IL, but something tells me, being in the playoffs, the energy will get to him today, and he's going to come up with a big old homer to left field. Not like an accidental, like Oppo Boppo. They go, well, he went with the pitch. That's good hitting. No, I'm talking about a pulled ball down the left field line, home run. Phillies take a lead. That's my bold prediction for today. Bryce Harper goes yard for the Phils. Let's get into this conversation about the Philadelphia Eagles. Should I leave the hat on? For the people on the podcast, I just couldn't help myself. I am wearing the Philly Fanatic. What do you call this? The fake hair on top hat? I don't know what you would call this. But it's the visor with the fake hair on top. Yes, spoiler. If you're watching the show for the first time, this is not my real hair. Anyway, let's talk a little bit. First off, where are you watching the game today? What are you doing for the game today? And when you were a kid, see, when I was a kid, it was still radio age. I would have the transistor radio. I'd have a little pocket radio. going up through my school uniform in Archbishop Wood, and I'd be listening to Flyers games or whatever. That's how I would do it. Or if I was in grade school at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, I'd have the earpiece going up through the uniform. Like, it's 2-1. All right, guys, here we go. 2 taps. All right, then the break. The 2 taps, that's going to be the taps. The first taps are the Phillies runs. The second tap is their runs. There you go. That's the system. Let's get into this Eagles conversation, shall we? Little hot in these rhinos. That was hot. That was a hot hat. So now I'm going to talk about the Eagles. This is going to be a Homer-based show today, basically, folks. This is going to be a Homer-based show because I got the Cardinals losing in both scenarios, all right? Phillies are going to beat the Cardinals today. And then the Eagles are going to beat the Cardinals on Sunday at 4:25 in Arizona. There's a couple of reasons why they're going to do that. The number one reason is I've never seen an Eagles team. I've never seen a team undefeated and still this hungry. That's bonkers to me. You would never know it. And as I made the point yesterday, you can look at a guy like Jason Kelce and the way they started the season, even before the season started, and he talked about how you still got to be hungry, you still can't be comfortable, you got to dominate no matter what, you got to critique everything as if it's a loss. And the Eagles to this point have done that. And listening to Jalen Hurts' cut yesterday that I played for you on this very show about how, hey guys, you're not going to ask me about the Cardinals? Don't get that going. Oh no, don't you dare do that. Cardinals are a good football team. Spoiler, they're not. But you can't take them lightly. And I don't care if media members or people like myself are looking at the Cardinals and taking them lightly, but I do care if the Eagles are looking at the Cardinals and taking them lightly. 2-2 on the season. They have yet to win a game at home. They're 0-2 at home. So there you go. I look at all that and I go, okay, yeah, that's fine. I can take them lightly. I can look at it from a bird's eye view, no pun intended, and go, oh, the Eagles are going to win this game. I feel pretty good about it. Not just because they're 4-0, not just because they're undefeated, but because of their attitude about being undefeated. Their attitude about being undefeated is the exact attitude you want your team to have if they're playing great like the Eagles are and they're undefeated. You know what that attitude is? We ain't done nothing yet. We're nothing. There's no – was there a parade? Did we have a parade for being 4-0? No, because there wasn't a parade of being 3-0. There wasn't a parade of 2-0. There wasn't a parade when they held on to beat the Lions, you know. This is a team that hasn't done anything, and they know they haven't done anything. They can win the first 4 games. They could lose the next 4 games. And, now all of a sudden they're 500. Here's the deal. You lose a game, Cowboys win, you got a tie with the Cowboys. Cooper Rush is 3-0 as their starting quarterback. He's the best redheaded quarterback in the division. That's fun to say because we know what it means. But when you look at this team, you're thinking to yourself, all right, stay grounded, stay humble. And the Eagles are doing exactly that. And above all else, above the humbleness, above the being grounded, they are hungry. And I don't need to tell any Eagles fan about how a hungry dog runs faster. Well, these dogs seem to be running pretty fast. And they got a head coach, Nick Sirianni, that seems to know how to keep them hungry. They got an offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland, who seems to know how to keep his offensive line hungry. Jordan Mailata, day-to-day going in this game. They had to pop his shoulder back in on Sunday. He talked to the media yesterday about it. How many games are they going to miss? None. You're day-to-day. All right, cool. And he goes out there and hopefully plays in this game. Jack Driscoll, oh, yeah, heck of a backup. Just the turnstiles, man. Jeff Stoutland just gets these guys in and out. No problem. Protect the quarterback. That's all you got to worry about. So for me, I'm excited about this game. I think the Eagles go on, remain undefeated. I think 5-0 after this week, and I'll give you some things that I am maybe not concerned about, but things that the Eagles will definitely have to do in this game. We'll give you the top 5, and we'll try to do this in a quick manner here. Number 1, and this is in no particular order. Zach Ertz has 5 touchdowns with the Cardinals since joining the team last year. He has become a big red zone target for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray really likes his veteran presence, I feel, in watching this game. And I feel like he is looking for Zach Ertz quite often in the red zone. And Zach Ertz can score touchdowns. We should know that above anybody else here in Philadelphia, that Zach Ertz can score touchdowns. And him in the red zone is a big threat with good hands, the ability to get open, still a great route runner, no question about that. He can get the job done in the red zone. So the Eagles, and their defense has been great, but I'm just saying, if there's anyone I'm going to be looking out for in that red zone, it's going to be Zach Ertz. That's one thing I just want to keep an eye on. And I don't doubt for a second that Kyler Murray has it in the back of his mind. Let me get my man a touchdown against his former team. This is probably the most important. It is the most important, and it is Kyler Murray. It's a lot of what you see in Jalen Hurts. It's the ability to extend plays. It's the ability to run, break off a 20-yard run. It's the ability to throw the ball and dot the I, nowadays. This version of Jalen Hurts that we've seen this year. It's the ability to throw the ball downfield. It's the ability to keep your eyes downfield when you're scrambling. You never know where he's going to be. And when you bring him down in this pass rush, which now leads the league in sacks, thanks in large part to Carson Wentz not being able to get rid of the football and the Washington Commanders not knowing how to protect their quarterback. That's a happy accident right there. That's a happy combo for any defense. Well, the Eagles are the top team in the NFL when it comes to sacks. We know that when you talk about hungry dogs, you can also talk about this defensive line of the Eagles, which leads me into the third thing that I find interesting here. The Eagles, and credit to Jimmy Kempski, who put this out there. The Eagles' offensive line has a combined 371 starts. Okay? Jason Kelsey's been in this league for 11 years. The Eagles' offensive line has 371 combined starts. Okay? 371. The Arizona offensive line has 533 starts. So they are an experienced team. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing when they're protecting a quarterback. Now, you might think, a scrambling quarterback, that's good for an offensive line because, the guy can, you're not going to give up a lot of sacks. Also, yeah, that's good to a degree, but I've also heard a lot of offensive linemen that have played maybe with Michael Vick, for instance, and they talk about, it's great in that you're not going to give up a lot of sacks because he can escape or throw the ball away, extend the play, whatever. But at the same time, it can also lead to a little bit of danger where you're blocking your guy and you have no idea where your quarterback is because it's like in your mind, you want to think that you have a nice, clean pocket protected with your quarterback standing in there like a statue and being able to deliver the football with great accuracy and calmness. But that's not always the case. So when you have a quarterback that can bounce around like a Kyler Murray or even like a Jalen Hurts, for instance, then it can be a little bit difficult at times. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. Sometimes that you actually end up blocking pressure into your quarterback. I'm going to hope for that. I'm not going to bet on it, but I'm going to hope for that. But this offensive line is a very experienced offensive line. They, of course, got a very mobile quarterback behind them. So I'm not going to expect a 9-sack game. I would love to see Hassan Reddick get his hand in there again with another defensive player of the week that you have right now with the Eagles. You had Darius Slay, you had Brandon Graham, and now you got Hassan Reddick, who has just been dominating at the line of scrimmage so far over the last 2 weeks. We wanted more from Hassan Reddick. Over the last 2 weeks, we've gotten a lot more from Hassan Reddick. So that would be a key for me on the Eagles side is Hassan Reddick's got to continue to eat at the line of scrimmage because you can sneak up on Kyler Murray while he's keeping his eyes downfield, while he's trying to extend the play. You can get a hand in there and try to force that ball loose because he will try to have a little bit of that hero gene in that no play is done. No play is done. Kyler Murray could definitely do that, and he can make the play better than most. So he has more reason to believe that he has the hero gene. He has more reason to believe that he can extend that play and still make a play downfield. I mentioned Zach Ertz. I mentioned Kyler Murray. I mentioned the offensive line of the Cardinals and their experience. Marquise Brown really broke out with the Ravens, as we all know. Was a great target of Lamar Jackson. He knows how to play with a quarterback that's mobile and can throw the ball downfield. So whatever happens with Darius Slay, whether or not he is playing, you're going to be having to keep your eyes on James Bradberry because he'll mostly get the assignment of Marquise Brown. You might be back in the days of the Giants for James Bradberry, where he was playing against the number one guy. But if Slay can go, he's going to D up on Marquise Brown. This guy's name ain't what it used to be. But damn, he is still good. J.J. Watt is a guy that I want to make sure that the Eagles have an eye on. I know he's not the defensive player of the year. He's far from that. But it just seems like every once in a while, these guys have a resurgence. They get a good matchup. And if you're going to be dealing with somebody who is not as experienced, like a guy like J.J. Watt dealing with a guy like Jack Driscoll, for instance, then you might have some issues there. It's not that I think J.J. Watt is anything special anymore. It's just that I acknowledge that he was a special player, and still between the ears, he's got a lot of experience in beating the guy in front of him. And Jalen Hurts had a little bit of an issue with batted balls this year, being able to knock down some passes. J.J. Watt still does the same thing now at 33 years old, I believe he is, that he did at 23, which is every time the quarterback's arm goes back to throw a pass, J.J. Watt just says, "The hell with this," and just puts his arms up in the air every single time. The minute he sees the quarterback roll back there to throw that pass, his arms just go up in the air. So that's one thing Jalen Hurts is going to have to be careful of, is a batted ball by J.J. Watt or 2 or 3, because J.J. Watt can certainly get after it like that. And we've seen that happen a couple of different times this season, to the point where Nick Sirianni's been asked about it a couple of times, and it's just like, well, what are you going to do type of thing. So those are some things I'm going to be looking at in this game. If I'm the Eagles, TJ Edwards has been doing a great job as far as applying pressure to a quarterback. I wouldn't be pissed if you saw less blitzes in this game than you saw, for instance, against Washington. Well, you really didn't see that many blitzes against Washington. That was all, what I think I said, 7 of the 9 sacks were defensive line with 4-man pressures. 2 of them maybe were blitzes. But like last week, for instance, you saw a ton of blitzes. I don't think you see that many, because I think they're going to want to keep one guy back to make sure they can monitor what Kyler Murray is doing, make sure they can keep him in the pocket. I think on certain plays with Jonathan Gannon's defense, I think you're going to see a quarterback spy. I think you're going to see a guy like TJ Edwards get that responsibility. Zach Pascal will get that responsibility at times. You might get Hassan Reddick on that from time to time. But I think they're going to do a lot of relying on their defensive line. And this is a very experienced offensive line they're facing, as I mentioned. So that could be a problem for the Eagles defense. Now, they're going to be facing teams. Now, by the way, I wanted to make sure I got this in as well. The losses they have suffered this year to the Chiefs and to the Rams, those are some good teams. Rams, defending champions. They don't look phenomenal this season by any means, but they're still defending Super Bowl champion. Kansas City Chiefs, they're pretty good. Their wins are against the Raiders and the Panthers. Now, I can go through the Eagles schedule and say, well, it's not that impressive. The Vikings are a legit team in terms of what they can do in a passing attack, and the Eagles shut that the hell down. Commanders, no bueno. I think we can all agree on that, no bueno. The Lions have given some other teams problems with their defense. Eagles have handled that. And then, of course, you look at a team like last week, for instance, and you see an Eagles team that just stepped up. The Jaguars aren't, I don't think, competing for a Super Bowl anytime soon. But the Eagles handled the business against Jacksonville Jaguars. So you could definitely go through schedules and say who was valuable and who's not. Bottom line is, one team's undefeated. One team has continuously found ways to win, while the other team has not. And still, that's amazing to me. Still have yet to win at home. So we'll see how that goes. Do I have that right? Now I'm doubting myself as I look at my notes and don't understand what I'm writing. Anyway, let me tell you about my man Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there in Philadelphia, right at the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right on Jewelers Row. When it comes to all your big jewelry purchases, do what I do. Trust one man, Steven Singer, the man with the perfect price, each and every day, online at IHateStevenSinger.com. When it comes to that big jewelry purchase, when it comes to that push present, when it comes to that birthday present, when it comes to getting engaged, Steven Singer guarantees every single customer the perfect price. So you don't have to worry about haggling and negotiating every time you walk into the building. All you got to do is worry about what beautiful diamond you want to buy. And that's what Steven Singer provides. The perfect price, so you can just relax. Don't have to worry about the person next to you is paying less than you, or they get some kind of better deal because they're a better negotiator. No, they didn't. You know what they're getting? The perfect price, same as you. That's how you get treated like a real family member at Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer, one place, one price, perfect price, online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Raw Throw of the Pigs guest line and talk to my man, Michael Barkann, about all things Phillies. Hold on. About all things Phillies and Eagles right now. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now, making a triumphant return to the Farzy show. You know him, you love him. His name is Michael Barkann. And Michael Barkann over there at NBC Sports Philadelphia, Phillies pre and post, Eagles pre and post, amongst a slew of other things, and just celebrated 25. Look, hold on. Look at that.
Is that nice? I'm going to tell you a little story about that. Those flowers were sent, as you know, from my family. And no sooner do I get them than Ricky Bo and Ben Davis are like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. These flowers. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Then I say to Ricky Bo, I said, normally if they were small, because they were big, I had to carry them with a basket with both hands. And so normally I would bring them home. But because they were on the occasion of my 25 years with NBC Sports Philadelphia, I wanted to leave them there because of what they represented. But I said to Ricky, I said, do you want me to leave them? Oh, no, you don't have to leave it. You don't have to take them home. It's fine. Next day he comes in, I can't breathe. I said, dude. So finally, they're home. They're upstairs wilting, thanks to him.
No, but in all seriousness, congratulations on 25 years at NBC. You have built that place, and I hope they acknowledge that. You put them. I saw you put the bricks in. I remember driving by on 95. I'm like, I did. Build a place. I
had the cement, the trowel, the whole bit. In fact, I actually had a brick. You know, when they built the Wells Fargo Center, they allowed you to purchase bricks, and I bought one on my that commemorated my first day at then Comcast Sportsnet, and it just said Barkann's back 9/15/97, and it's still there. Not even chipped, nothing. So that's a special thing.
Well,
I don't know
congratulations.
We'll have to redo it, but we'll see.
One thing on the 25 years there, and I know that there's many moments you've had there, many enjoyable moments, many great things. But when you think back, is there a moment that you think about more often than not over those 25 years?
Yes, obviously it's the championships, and having grown up in this area, what sports can do for a community. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you shouldn't be spending our dollars on sports. And I agree with that fundamentally, stadiums and all that stuff. But when you see the Phillies win a championship and the parade and the joy, and there are a lot of people that have a lot of stuff going on in their lives, any little tidbit that can give anybody joy or make them happy is, I think, a beautiful thing. And so the Phillies in 2008, that was the first thing. And baseball, it's such a rarity to be able to go to the postseason. Certainly there are more teams that get in now, but back then it was just amazing. In 2007, when they first got in, and that was, I think, after 14 years away, and to get back in, and they lost to Colorado, as we know, but they hosted that series to begin, and to have baseball on a national scale back in Philadelphia for the postseason was great. And then the parade, it was all surreal, as I'm sure you'll probably agree. It was, is this really happening to us? Are we in heaven or what? And then the same thing happened with the Eagles. And just the fact that the Eagles, I mean, let's be honest, the Eagles rule in Philadelphia. Sure. And to see that parade, to see that when the clock hit 0, and then they were the champions of the NFL was absolutely incredible. I didn't even know what to do. I'm sure a lot of fans felt the same way. And when you grew up watching the Eagles, and maybe you have family members who are no longer with us, or you were a kid when you first saw them, and you couldn't believe it either. We were all stunned. It was a beautiful thing. And that's what keeps me coming back, Farzy. That is what keeps me coming back, is that joy, that excitement of watching the game, seeing. I never got in it for salary cap talk, man. I never got in it for, we're threatening to move the franchise. I never got in it for any of that BS. I got in it because of great plays, great athletic performances. We all played sports, and when you can watch it at that level, and then your team is number one, and you can brag on them for a year, that's an amazing thing. Don't you agree?
1,000%.
It's your show.
1,000%. No, you're putting out poetry, my friend. I just sit here and listen. It's wonderful. 1,000%. And yeah, I mean, I've said this many times before. My cousin Joey Maiello is the first person I thought of when the Eagles won. He had passed and didn't get to experience it. Was a big Eagles fan, had 700 level seats, So yeah, absolutely. The first person I thought of, man. So you have definitely been in the center of it all over the last 25 years. Now we find ourselves, and absolutely, we find ourselves in interesting territory, because all of a sudden the Phillies, after moving on from Joe Girardi, are now in the playoffs. The Eagles are undefeated at the time that we of course, taped this interview. Now, I am looking at this as just like those moments you just talked about, those pinch me moments. Is this real? The Phillies being in the playoffs. When did you have a sense, because I know they struggled towards the end, as they always seem to do. When did you have a sense that, oh, my goodness, this team could really make a postseason run here?
Well, I had a sense that they could do it in the offseason when you saw what Dave Dombrowski did with the roster and everybody he brought in. And when you look at the reigning MVP and you look at Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola and Kyle Schwarber and Hoskins, what he's capable of, JT Realmuto, who we now call BCIB, best catcher in baseball, when you see those guys and you think they got to have a chance. The question to me was depth. How would the bullpen hold up? And then they started playing poorly. They had a brutal April and May, and that led to Girardi's firing on June 1st or 3rd, and then Rob Thompson took over, and they went on this epic win streak, and I thought, all right, I think we've got something here. The problem is with baseball, and I know the critics like to say, well, you can only play you can play, and I get that, but there are teams that are lesser teams and teams that are better teams, and the Phillies were found it difficult to beat the better teams. They gave the Braves a run for their money. They faltered against the Mets, and then they would play poorly against the lower teams. Look what happened at Wrigley a week or so ago. So when that happened, I'm thinking, and then they run into that losing streak at the very end, and I thought, would that be a Philadelphia story or not? It certainly wouldn't be 1964, but I thought, can you imagine this after all the hope? And you know what else, Farzy? The fans tell you the story, and they have been hard-pressed to get the fans to come out to the ballpark, and it's like they want to show me. I'm from Missouri. I want you to prove it to us that we can really do it. And I think in the eyes of the fans, the team never really did that. And so the fans, at least with regard to attendance at the games, they never really got on board. And now, of course, they get to the promised land of the postseason, and I hope everybody's on board. But I really thought once they went on that rip, I don't know what it was, 10 straight, 11 straight, and then 15 out of 20. And when you look at a 596 win percentage under Rob Thompson, almost a 600 win percentage, that's 98 wins over a 162. And that is a pretty damn good record. So I'm going to say I take my chances with this team against any team, especially with that pitching lineup they have.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
The starting pitching lineup.
Definitely. Well, I heard Dave Dombrowski on the airwaves there at NBC Sports Philadelphia during one of the games recently. I think it was game 2 of this Astros series that just wrapped up. And he talked about how Kyle Schwarber had leadership and respect in the clubhouse, similar to that of Darren Dalton. You obviously worked with Dutch. You covered Dutch, the whole thing. Do you think he has that type of impact? Just from watching him as a media member, do you think he has that type of impact on this clubhouse?
I do, having not been in the clubhouse very much. I don't know exactly how he holds sway over that clubhouse, but he's got this calm about him. He's been through the wars. He's got a World Series ring to his resume, and anytime you got a guy who has done it before, been there before, and knows what it takes to get there, that's a huge thing. And I think also, in baseball, among all the other sports, it's about being calm. It's about being steady. And he could go 0 for 4, and he was, I don't want to say just fine, but he was okay. He knew that they would come back and try to do it the next day. And this team has shown that resilience, and I think he's a main reason for that. Even seeing him bat leadoff. I mean, he's not your prototypical leadoff hitter. And even his on-base percentage, which would have led one to say, oh, okay, I get it. I see why he's leading off, because it was in the high 300s. Even that fell off, and the only thing he had to his credit was home runs. And then even that fell off. Now, all of a sudden, he's starting to get hot with the bat. He's not the fastest guy on the team, but he can get things done. He can get to a ball in left field, and he certainly can leg out a hit if he has to. And I think when you see him straight, steady, and carrying on his business, I think that is the best thing for the team to see. And I do think he's that type of a leader. I won't go as far as Dutch, but again, I don't see him in the clubhouse. Dutch would grab a guy if he had to, and say, look, this is what we need from you tonight. And, you haven't been producing the way you've needed to. So I want to see a little bit more from you. And they would produce. I don't know if Schwarber's that kind of guy, but no matter, they're there. And I think they got a chance to do something.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was just going to ask you, 3-game series against the Cardinals. They were 4-3 against the Cardinals during the regular season. All 3 games, hopefully the Phillies only need 2 to finish it out, but all games are scheduled to take place, in St. Louis. So you like their chances in this series?
I do like their chances in this series. I think there's that literal dividing line between the regular season and the postseason, which does concern me a little bit with regard to the Cardinals, because even though the Phils beat them 4 out of 7, and even though Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt have been down over the month of September, they have not. I mean, Goldschmidt at one point was a viable Triple Crown contender, and he just has not batted. He's batting in the mid 200s. The same with Nolan Arenado. And once you get to the postseason, it is true. All that stuff is gone. We're starting anew. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk by any means. I think the Cardinals have the bats. They've got that juice with Albert Pujols and getting his 703, 702. I don't know what it is. It's a lot
over 700.
Yeah, over 700, and they're playing at home, as Scott Rowland said, in baseball heaven. So I think that's a big thing. And you combine with that, the Phillies have struggled on the road this season, and all I'm hoping is Zach Wheeler on the mound, Aaron Nola on the mound, Ranger Suarez on the mound, and the bats that they have, what they're capable of doing with their clutch hitting, will be able to supplant the Cardinals. I think they can. I think they could take it in 2. It wouldn't surprise me. Would it surprise you if they won 2 straight? No. It wouldn't surprise me if they none of the outcomes would surprise me, but I do think that they could beat this Cardinals team, and I think they could give Atlanta a run for the money too.
Ooh, how much fun was that? I mean, look, no one's run for the how much fun is it just to see the fact that the Mets didn't win the division? It's a little fun. It's a little fun.
It's a lot. It's a lot fun. It is a lot fun. And to see, I have so many friends. I grew up in central New Jersey. I grew up in Mets and Yankees territory, and I know how many Met fans are out there, friends of mine, and we have people who we work with at NBC Sports Philadelphia that are Mets fans, and they're gnashing their teeth, to say the least, to watch how they faltered again. The only thing that worries me about the Mets, and we wouldn't have to worry about this, I don't think, until the NLCS is the Mets have it over the Phillies this year, and they frustrate them, they confound them. And when I look at the Mets playing the Phillies, they look like the World Series contenders, not the Dodgers. The Mets look great. They have clutch hitting, they have great pitching. They got the guy who comes out, the Timmy Trumpets, and they're a real good ball team. But I think that as the Phillies have faltered in September, the Mets have done the same against the Braves and in crunch time. So they're there. We'll see what happens. But I like the Phillies' chances to get through this series. I do.
I'm with you there. Shift gears, of course. You do a phenomenal job pre and post Eagles coverage there on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Great panel, Jaws doing great things. Obviously, our friend Ruben Frank doing great things as well. That Barrett Brooks character, I'm still not sure about. No, but this is an interesting game here for the Eagles when it comes to the attempt at going 5-0 to start the season. I asked you about the Phillies' chances against the Cardinals. Now the football Cardinals we can talk about. Eagles' chances against the Cardinals this weekend. Will they go to 5-0, Michael Barkann?
Yes, they will. I think they will go to 5-0. Every phase of football they are excelling at right now, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's at running back, and Miles Sanders racking up 130-some-odd yards last weekend. They are decimating the competition so far. They really are. Minnesota came in, and we thought, well, this could be a tough game. You just don't know. They have Kirk Cousins. They have Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was locked down. And they did a great job. They beat Detroit. They beat the Vikings. I think that they have a great chance to go 5-0. Kyler Murray, he's the type of quarterback akin to Jalen Hurts. He's so fast. He's got a great arm, and I think they can contain him. I really do. I think they've got that kind of speed. And when you look at the defensive front, how quick they're playing, all the sacks that they have. Hassan Reddick from Temple and Camden, New Jersey. My goodness, we were worried. Well, the guy doesn't have any sacks. What's going on with this guy? We got him to really affect the offensive line, and he's got 3.5 sacks now in short order. And I think this Brandon Graham's playing like he's a rookie again. Fletcher Cox is playing great. Howie did a great job. I got to give it to Howie. I've been critical of him in the past, but right now it looks like it's all working out. And our old friend Ray Dittinger said before he left for his cruise to goodness knows where, he said, Mike, I think they have a chance to be 5 or 6-0. I said, Ray, Really? Is that you, Ray? Is there Ray in there? What have you done with Ray? And for him to say that, and that was in August, for him to say that carried a lot of weight with me. And now to see what we're seeing from this team, I think absolutely they go 5-0, and I think they very well could go 6-0 the following Sunday night.
Any truth to the rumor that Ray Didinger was one of the people with his face painted chugging beers at the link against the Vikings? I'm pretty sure. I can't call him on it. I can't confirm or deny. I understand. I understand.
Can someone pass me a Jaeger, please? Imagine. Yeah, I need a Yingling, please.
Yes, exactly. Oh, Ray would crush it.
Oh, my gosh.
Last thing, my friend, when it comes to Jalen Hurts here. When it comes to Jalen Hurts, it feels like it's rare nowadays in the Instagram world where we see people post themselves working out Ben Simmons, and then we see them come into the season and they're not any better than what they were. Jalen Hurts posted the video. Jalen Hurts came back and is looking like an MVP right now. Tyrese Maxey in basketball, same type of thing. We're seeing him play much better preseason, but still playing better. How rare do you think that is that we see a guy improve to the length of a guy like Jalen Hurts that goes into the offseason struggling at a few things and comes back the next season looking like all he did for those 6 months was work on those things, and you see the improvement?
I think it's rare, but I don't think we should be surprised with Jalen Hurts. And we have a thing in this world, and in particular in this country, where we want the instant gratification of a champion right off the bat. And this guy was a kid. He's runner-up in the Heisman Trophy. Think about the courage he showed, too. And the courage of not being played the way he wanted in Alabama. He transfers to Oklahoma. I mean, are you kidding me? Nick Saban says you're his number 2 quarterback, and you're like, the heck with that. I still think I'm a number 1. I'm going to go someplace and show it. I mean, a lot of people, Nick Saban says you're number 2, then you're like, okay, I guess my career's over. I'm going to be a pharmacist. And that's not what Jalen Hurts did. He goes to Oklahoma. He has a great rest of his college career in Oklahoma, and then he gets drafted by the Eagles. And really, once that happened, that was the end of the Carson Wentz era as we knew it, and that's unfortunate for Wentz and at the time for Eagles fans, but Wentz just could not handle someone looking over his shoulder. Jalen Hurts, when I saw him play, and you talk about Arizona, when I saw him play in a loss at Arizona, which was really the first time he had kind of spread his wings. I said on the air in the postgame show, and Barrett and Seth Joyner and Ray, you talk about reality check, they all looked at me like I had 2 heads. I said, I was giddy after an Eagles loss, and I said, you have just seen the future of the Philadelphia Eagles at the quarterback position, and his name is Jalen Hurts. And I said that because what we saw was something that I thought could be replicated. I didn't think it was a fluke. I didn't think he was running for his life. I thought he had a presence on the field. But here's the thing. He still hadn't been an NFL player for a very long time. Then he gets the starting job. Okay, we're going to give it to him the following season. And he's still, 23 years old, 22 or 23 years old? He was a kid. And they went to the playoffs. But still, I don't know if he's the guy. And then, and I don't think the Eagles did anything to dissuade this opinion. It's like, well, here's what we're going to do. We'll give him one last shot. And if it doesn't work, we bolstered everything around him. And we'll give him one more shot. And if it doesn't work, then we'll worry about the quarterback of the future. But no one thought publicly or maybe even otherwise that this guy could make strides, that this guy could make steps, because he's a coach's son and he wants to work. He works. He never cracks a smile. He's not a giddy type of guy. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if he's a coach someday and not an NFL coach. I could see him being a high school coach or a college coach because he loves the game that much, and he's serious about it. And when you get serious about it and you put your mind to it and you work with who's the guy? Tom House.
Tom House,
with the pitchers. You work with Tom House out in L.A. He's serious about getting better. And there's a lot of guys, they take the money and the rest is kind of incidental. And that's not the case with Jalen Hurts. He works at it. And you know what? They talk about the game slowing down, and I understand it's a cliche, but it's true in everything we do. Whether when you started doing the radio, you started at NBC Sports Philadelphia, or you started up the Farzy show, sometimes it takes a little while for stuff to slow down, where you can process everything that starts to come at you more and more quickly. And you need to keep your confidence about you when it does come down around your ears. And when it didn't happen for him, I don't think he lost his confidence. We lost our confidence in him as a public, which was a mistake. And he just, what did he do? He put his nose back to the grindstone after being a playoff quarterback, by the way, in that first starting season. So I think the future's looking up for the Philadelphia Eagles, for Jalen Hurts, and it's going to be exciting. They're not going to be undefeated, I don't think. If they were, that'd be incredible. Imagine that. They're going to challenge the Miami Dolphins to 17-0.
Yeah,
but it'll be 20-0. So yeah, I think that he is on his way to being an MVP, if not an MVP, an MVP caliber performance this year and years after.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you there, my friend. I have high praise of Jalen Hurts, especially right now. What do you guys have cooking up for us here at NBC Sports Philadelphia when it comes to all fine programming?
Let me tell you, we've got Phillies pregame live, so that's a 2:07 start. We're going to be on at 1:30. This will be on Friday afternoon, 1:30, going into the game. The game's on ESPN or ABC. I know it's on ESPN, ABC platforms. And then we'll be doing the same. It's a Saturday night game. I think we'll be on at 8 o'clock. It's like an 8:37 first pitch. Mm-hmm. We'll be on at 8 o'clock with the pregame program. Sunday, TBA, we'll see. It could be another 8:37 start, or it might be earlier, depending on what happens with the other series. And then we've got Eagles, 4:25 kick. We'll be on at 3 o'clock with Eagles pregame live. I'm not doing that one unless for some reason, hopefully, the Phillies will have advanced by then, and then I'll be doing Eagles as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Looking forward to it.
Michael Barkann, here's to another 25 years of you at NBC.
I love you, buddy.
You do great. I love you right back, man.
We're the Pumas all the time, man, and I'm still sitting in the Farzy chair, and it fills me with creativity, it fills me with energy, and it fills me with passion. You know what I'm saying? I clean off all your cheese curls and the pickles. I clean those off.
Wait, no. The espresso beans. You knock off the espresso beans.
Sorry. Maybe they were my pickles. I apologize. You might be right. The cheese.
How many times?
Ben Davis brings me cheese curls every day. And I keep thinking of him in about 5 years saying, that's how I killed him. I cheese curl bag by cheese curl bag, one to one. And finally the arteries clogged up, and now I sit in Farzetta's chair. One bag of cheese curls every day for this freaking guy. Yeah?
Oh, man. God. Michael, I love you, brother. Thank you so much. Oh, you're the best. My best to the family. The great Michael Barkann joining us there. Michael Barkann. Thank you, bud. Pickles. I didn't think pickles would be a thing during the conversation. But pickles are very much a thing, I guess, with the conversation with Michael Barkann. I gotta tell the backstory real quick on this. So I get let go from NBC, right? It was weird because it was like sports were coming back and they're like, everyone's fired. No, all right. But they let some people go. All right. I was one of them. So I had bought this chair at NBC because the chairs that we had were torn up, and I'm the type of person I don't want to ask the office manager to get me something because then you gotta wait a month. It's not going to be the right one you wanted. I'd rather just go and buy a cheap chair at IKEA that I know I will take care of. Okay, and when people see that it's your chair, they're not going to steal it. So I bought this chair. I thought it was a black pleather chair. I opened it up and it was white. It was bright, gaudy, I work for Scarface chair. All right. Gaudy as hell. Amy Fadul looked at it and just started laughing. And I'm like, I know, I'm not taking it back. This is my chair now. So John Clark would always break my balls about it because he'd always be like, oh, Farzetta got the Barry Bonds chair. Oh, he's special. And I'm just like, God damn it. So anyway, Michael loved this chair. Michael loved this chair. Michael didn't have a comfortable chair. So anyway, Michael calls me when I get let go. And as you can tell, love the guy. Still friends, played in his golf outing a couple months ago. Absolutely love the guy. We get along great, and we've been friends for a long time. So he calls me and he's like, Farzy, I know it sucks that you can't play in this sandbox anymore. And, we have this real nice heart-to-heart conversation. He was very kind to call me. We hang up the phone. 2 minutes later, he calls me again. He goes, Farzy. And I'm like, what's up, Michael? And he goes, this might be totally insensitive, but can I have your chair? And he knows that I'm not going to take that personal, like it's some slight, like I just got let go and he wants my chair, I don't, between him and I, he knew I wouldn't give a damn. I know to some people, they might interpret that as a bad thing. It's not. Let me just confirm for you, not a bad thing. I wasn't going to take the chair home with me. Okay. So I said, absolutely. So when he said at the end of the interview, I still have your chair. It was one of those things that I thought about several times after we did the interview yesterday. And it was one of the things I thought about several times. And I just started laughing. I just started laughing. Absolutely lovely. So that's the backstory on the chair. And I am the crazy SOB, by the way, that did give Michael Barkann his first espresso. That happened. Oh, and I think he referenced the Pumas too. PJ, did he reference the Pumas? He did reference the Pumas. The backstory on that is my first year at NBC. Again, I had known Michael, and he had been great to me. And we had made the transition from him doing Philly Sports Talk to Amy and I doing Philly Sports Talk. And still, through that whole process, he was so amazing to me. And the fact that he comes on the show is awesome. And he had told me this story about how he grew up next to owners. His neighbors in Central Jersey owned a Adidas store. So he always wanted a pair of Pumas, but he would never get Pumas because he would always have like free Adidas, essentially. So he's like, because I'd always wear Puma. And he'd go, Farzy, always loved the Puma, always wanted Puma. So that Christmas, I got him Puma, like Pumas like mine, the Clydes, right? And now when he wears them, he will text me a pair, like, got them on, baby. You know, every once in a while. Not every time he wears them, but it's funny. He still keeps them bright white. Give him a lot of credit. I wonder if he's using the old magic eraser. Anyway, love that guy. Appreciate him coming on. Let me tell you about my man. Not my man, but everyone's man at Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off at manscaped.com. Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, weed whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, and it all comes with skin-safe technology. Go to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. It's a good time. Insane tropical tasting Bayox. Clocks in at 24.1%. And half Hindu Kush, which is a super CBD, and 21%. Go to FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off. Mojo. Download the Mojo app to your phone right now. Go to Mojo.com. Download the app to your phone. Must be present in New Jersey to trade on Mojo. Now, what is Mojo? Mojo has over 300 skilled players in the NFL, from quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. And it all comes, they got stock. They all come with stock and a share price. And it rises and falls in real time. And it's based on on-field performance, news, or anything that might affect expectations for that player in that week. Now, there's no offseason. It's all throughout the year. If you think there's an underrated rookie out there, maybe that Kenny Pickett fella is able to turn things on there in Pittsburgh. Maybe that's a good time to buy low, sell high later. Make yourself some money on Mojo. Available in New Jersey on iOS. Just by downloading the app, you get the chance to win $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Go to Mojo.com. Also, for more information, must be 21 or older and physically present in New Jersey. To trade on Mojo. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? It's PHLSportsStation.com. Let's get into the chat check. Kevin, what's going on? Dan Schwartz! Dan Schwartz is back. Back from vacation and a hurricane. God bless you, Daniel. Boop. And also a little bout with COVID. Nice to have you, Dan. Nice to have you. Kev Fitz, lifelong Cardinals fan here. Got the Cardinals in 3. Don't be surprised if the Phillies win today. Win big today. Ooh, Kev. All right. Hey, may the best team win. May the best team win. Mihai, what's going on, Mihai? Alyssa! How excited are you for Tyrese Maxey? Preseason MVP. Jock Talk. What's up, Jock Talk? Two Ks there. What's going on? Nice to have you in. Go Eagles and go Phillies. I concur. Stoll on the left side to help Driscoll if he needs it. Always a solid choice to move the tight end over there. Obviously, it takes one person out and go out for receptions, but he got plenty of guys to catch football. Dan Schwartz, number one with the most hero gene is God and Jesus, or God/Jesus. All right. How do I know that? Carson Wentz gives credit to them. Dan, that's one of your best lines yet. Per sources, Carson Wentz, it's God first. There you go. Hey, y'all, I'm 58. I got to see all those games, Eagles and Phillies and Sixers. Wow. Jock Talk, you got a couple years on me. Dan Schwartz, Barkann has made 11 years of Phillies slop enjoyable. Absolutely love him and Ricky Bo going off. I concur. Just got into sports when the Phillies' great first run started. As a 10-year-old in 2008, I thought that was the norm. Thought it wasn't, though it wasn't. Let's get it going. Mihai, I was born in 82. We had the Phillies in 93. That was the first. Oh my God, you can go to the championship? That's allowed? I was 6 months old when the Sixers won with Mark Ivoroni. Oh, and that Dr. J guy. That guy with the MD and something. And yeah, I've told you guys my history before. So yeah, it's insane when you grow up like that. You just think it's never going to happen. And then the Phillies won in 08 and you're like, oh my God, it happened. It actually happened. And you look at the parade, as Michael was talking about over his 25 years. You look at the parade in 2008 and I look around and I was like, this is better than anything anyone ever told me. This was better than my dad telling me about the Flyers parades in the 70s. This was better than it all. Colin Berger, what's going on? At least one Super Bowl ring this decade. Eagles, please. Mihai, let's hope that happens. Sixers, too, especially now that they better bring a parade. I don't have faith in the Flyers. Neither do I. Let's see here. John Cheeseborough, what's going on? Colin, nice to see you. Phillies win today. Incredible pressure on the Cardinals. Phillies put pressure on the Cardinals. Phillies have to score runs early and not try to rely on homers all game long. John, a bold strategy, and I'm with you. Paul Keane, what's up, buddy? Vincent Pellegrini, what's going on? Everyone's agreeing. Everyone's on the same page. Got the Eagles winning. Let's go. Dan Schwartz, quote, he calls when he wears the Puma. What is more odd is he calls when he uses the Manscaped. I don't mind. I'm usually smoking. What? Mark Farzy on Michael Barkann. Dan, fine work out of you. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Welcome into some of the newcomers over here. Good to have you guys. Let's get to the Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Morning Rush. What did I have for you for the Morning Rush? Oh, I wanted to give you guys an update. So just real quick, I had talked to you guys yesterday about how I had an allergy appointment today. Yesterday, I had to go to the doctor for an allergy thing. That's why they took blood, so I got my Band-Aid on. Band-Aids freak out my 3-year-old daughter, Lil Tuts. She's like, boo-boo, boo-boo. She thinks every boo-boo is like major invasive surgery. So anyway, I was like, no, everything's fine. So I went, and if you guys heard me talk about the story before, when I was diagnosed, they were like, oh yeah, you got asthma. You got it. They give you a machine that you got to blow into, and anything you score between 0 and 50 is okay. Generally, if you 40, you got asthma, right? If you blow in the 40 range, you got asthma essentially. So 0 to 50 is okay, not terrible, but okay. The first time I did this 3 years ago, I used that machine and I hit a 162. I told that to the doctor yesterday. The doctor goes, that's impossible. They give me the machine. I do it again. Now, I had hit my inhaler. I have an albuterol inhaler. That's like a rescue inhaler. It's like when you're really feeling tight, you hit that and you open up. It's great. I had hit that in the morning. I still hit a 128. The doctor looks at it and goes, this is the highest score I've ever seen. This doctor wasn't a pulmonologist. The first doctor I saw was a pulmonologist. This doctor looked at it and goes, I've never seen that before. And it was like, as I was telling about my symptoms or whatever, they were like getting more excited over what a freak I was. Like how sick I could be. It's like, this guy shouldn't even be walking around. This is amazing. You should be dead. And he was like, so when you go outside, do you have a problem with leaves? And I'm like, if I'm chopping them up, like in my leaf vacuum chopper, I got a problem. He's like, interesting. He's like, tell me, do you have a problem with cranberries? And I'm like, yes. He's like, interesting. He was like so excited for my ailments because they were so freakish and unlike anything he had ever heard. He was like, oh, tell me more. There was one lady, oh my God bless her. She asked me if I was ever exposed to asbestos. And I was like, not that I know of. Anyway. I'm okay. They're going to give me another inhaler and some medicine and whatever. There you go. So, but I'm okay. And I didn't pass out this time when they had to take 5 things of blood, 5 little things of blood. And I didn't pass out. Normally I pass out. I don't know why, but I pass out. I could look at surgery all day and not have a problem. The actual act of giving blood, oh, Usually that gets me. But anyway, I'm fine. Here is what y'all tuned in for today, and it's the most important thing. Here it is, coming at you. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Arizona Cardinals, Sunday, 4:25 kickoff. The Philadelphia Eagles will improve to 5-0 on the season, and they will do so by the tune of 34-17. 34-17. I have the feeling the Cardinals are going to score first, and then the Eagles are going to take over. And how about this? Jalen Hurts' second career start or third career start was against this Arizona Cardinals team. And this Arizona Cardinals team, it was in Arizona. Again, where they haven't won yet this season, in case I haven't mentioned that yet. They lost the game. The Eagles did not score in the first quarter. They rattled off 20 points in the second quarter. Sound familiar? Eagles actually, I believe, won in the halftime. Yeah, 20 points. They had 20 points in the first half. And then they went on to lose. But Jalen Hurts in that game, it was a 37-26 loss. Jalen Hurts in that game, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's one of three touchdown games he's had in his career, throwing touchdowns. And he posted a 102 quarterback rating. So there you go. I got the Eagles winning this game on Sunday, 34-17 to improve to 5-0. Phillies win today. Zach Wheeler gets the win. Bryce Harper goes yard. And I hope you're like me today. You get to enjoy this game at 2:07. I'll be at a bar in my neighborhood, and I'll be enjoying every damn second of it watching the Phillies play. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show presented by my man, Steven Singer. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Jim Hyde, produced the program, did a wonderful job. If you guys want to keep it on the old YouTube channel, hop over to the old Jacob Media YouTube channel. I'll be guest of Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports and Jacob Media on Good Morning NFC East. So I'll be jumping on there in just a couple of minutes at 7:20 to talk all things Eagles coming up in just a second. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. Go Phils, go Birds, go Eagles, more particularly. And don't go Cardinals in St. Louis. Don't go Cardinals anywhere. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take it easy. See you Monday.